going to move on to our final presenter of the day, and it is Robert Carrillo. So let me bring Robert up on the stage right now. And while he comes up here, I'll tell you a little bit about Robert. Robert's also a member of our OZ Insiders Mastermind group, and he was at our dinner in Manhattan Beach as well earlier this month. There was a pretty good group of folks out there for that one. Robert's presenting LaunchPad Collective. It's a mixed-use development in San Bernardino, California, and it's a little bit different flavor than a lot of the market rate deals we've heard from. There's more of an impact angle to it. But Robert, I'll stop there and turn it over to you. You've got a 10-minute presentation for us today. So without further ado, take it away. The stage is yours.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Welcome to LaunchPad. I want to start by saying, as Jimmy mentioned, LaunchPad is different. And this isn't just a development, it's a growing movement, a legacy project, if you will, here in San Bernardino. And we're building a model that centers people, equity, and long-term stability, which is what I think opportunity zones were meant for. But before I say another word, I want you to see the heart behind this work, a 1-minute glimpse into the struggle, the hope, and the reason that LaunchPad exists. Please watch.
When I told people I was going to Taft, they told me it was the first school in the country to get metal detectors. It was in the poorest neighborhood in New York. It has some of the most untapped potential of any place in the country.
Definitely, that's a girl who has the potential to get a scholarship.
I would love a scholarship for wrestling, and I'm gonna do it. I don't care if it hurts, if it burns. I want to get out of this low-wage, minimum income environment. Just because I was born in the Bronx doesn't mean that I have to be a part of it.
The victories are small. Every day that they're in the wrestling room is a victory in and of itself. They're not on the street, they're learning to push themselves. Those are all things that they can carry on for the rest of their lives.
All right, that's right, we got nervous.
Without struggle, there is no progress. And so that's every day, right? We're in the constant struggle.
Yeah, I'm still here, and like my mom kicked me out of her house. I don't have a steady home. So I'm always looking for something to spend the night. I've slept in trains. I've slept in motels. I've slept in staircases, rooftops, parks.
See, Shirley was homeless at 16 years old while she was on the wrestling team. And fortunately, with our holistic development program supporting her, she made it. But 2 of her teammates who we thought made it, they graduated high school, they graduated college, they ended up homeless. And that's the reality that we're facing. That's the reality that a lot of our young people are facing. And in San Bernardino, I'd say the outlook for our young people is grim. Youth homelessness is rising. Foster youth, immigrant youth, veteran women with children, they're all falling through the cracks. And these numbers say it all, right? But 3 in particular stand out to me. There are almost 4,000 homeless people in the county. 1 out of every 4 foster youth ends up in jail within 2 years after leaving the system. There are almost 30,000 McKinney-Vento students. Those are students without permanent residences across the county. And at the root of it all is housing affordability, right? We're in a statewide housing crisis. Everybody's mentioned it, right? But the real shortage is in affordable housing. And that's why the governor has mandated cities to build, right? San Bernardino needs to produce 8,100 units by 2029. To date, we've built under 400. That's less than 5%. And it's not just a gap. I think that is an opportunity. LaunchPad is first in line, right? We have land secured, we have equity in place, we're aligned with the zoning changes that are happening, and we're ready to lead the city's response. And we're not doing it alone. This is a collective effort, and here's what Mayor Helen Tran in San Bernardino had to say.
San Bernardino's challenge require more than conventional solutions. They demand ambitious, innovative action. That's where LaunchPad comes in. LaunchPad offers a scalable model that integrates affordable housing with economic opportunities, such as micro-retail, small-scale manufacturing, commercial kitchens, and workforce development. Designed with sustainability at its core, LaunchPad incorporates green building practices and carbon neutral technologies, aligning with California's ambitious climate goals. This innovative approach addresses systemic challenges and positions San Bernardino as a hub for inclusive, accessible, and environmentally responsible economic growth. It reinforces our commitment to investing in projects that provide holistic and forward-thinking development solutions.
As Mayor Tran stated, LaunchPad is a game-changing mixed-use development model that creates affordable housing, economic opportunity, and community wealth all in one place. It's a blueprint for inclusive growth, and we're locking in affordability for the next 99 years with some master leases. This is a self-sustaining economic ecosystem, and it's not just a one-off. But the 22 apartments are for youth aging out of foster care, transitional age youth, immigrant youth, and veteran women with children. The idea and the goal is that the entrepreneurs and residents will achieve financial and housing independence within 2 to 5 years. A little about me, I've spent over 25 years in real estate and community development. I started at Deutsche Bank in their real estate investment group, doing deals from 20 million to $1 billion. I've managed hundreds of affordable housing units with HCCI and wind companies, HCCI being the largest affordable housing owner in New York City, and have developed 100% affordable low-income housing tax credit projects. I've served over 15 years and still sit on the board of the Bronx Care Health Center, right? And really learning and focusing on health outcomes in underserved communities, and really over that time exploring the relationship between health outcomes and real estate and housing. And lastly, down at the bottom, I completed a Recast City Fellowship right here in San Bernardino, where we developed a strategy for revitalizing disinvested neighborhoods. And LaunchPad is the convergence of it all. Literally every chapter of my career and the last 5 years here in San Bernardino, working with community, working with organizations has led me to this point right here. And as I mentioned, we're not doing it alone. We've built strong partnerships, nonprofits, workforce programs, culinary incubators, and labor unions. From the community college district to Asociación to our modular construction company, every partner has a defined role, right? And our goal is to make sure that the residents and entrepreneurs who come through the LaunchPad become self-sufficient in 2 to 5 years, right? Our community work, my community work, our team's work over the years has built these relationships and momentum. San Bernardino is in Southern California, often gets forgotten about. It's in the Inland Empire, but San Bernardino is at a tipping point. It is often one of the most overlooked cities or markets in California, but I've been here 5 years, I've been studying it, and it is on the brink, really driven by that housing mandate, zoning, and land use changes, which are truly unlocking a ton of value in the area. And so we've taken advantage of that. We've actually acquired land strategically with equity already in place, centrally located to our service providers. And so we have 2 arms, a nonprofit arm, that's LaunchPad Collective, and the for-profit arm, that's our development arm. We were donated 9 acres of land, and with the equity in place, we tapped into it and purchased that phase 1 land that you see there, a ½ acre. In total, our 9.5 acres are valued at $5.2 million, right? We're building LaunchPad in phases. It sits on 9.5 acres. We're focused on 2 acres of it. And phase 1 is actually on a ½ acre. That's the piece that we just purchased. Phase 1 will be almost 30,000 square feet, 7,500 square feet on grade with 3 floors of apartments. Phase 2, we're doubling up, and then we're scaling on phase 3. We then have about 7 acres of land that we are looking to do something creative with. There are future opportunities and partnerships that we're looking at. This is a rendering of the LaunchPad. 7,500 square feet on grade, 22 apartments above, $10 million. That includes the site development work, off-site construction. This is going to be LEED Green certified and all of the Opportunity Zone Fund issues here. And so here's the offer. Total raise is 10 million, 3% preferred return, 1.65 times your equity multiple over 10 years, and a minimum $100,000 investors. So let's talk about that return, right? We're offering a 3% preferred, and that's lower than everything you've seen and heard about today. But there's a reason for that, right? We're locking in 99 years of affordability. We're trying to maximize the affordability instead of the IRR. Right? Because this project here isn't about flipping the property. It's about building sustainability. We do have exit strategies. We have refi strategies. But as a former wrestling coach, as you saw in the video, and special education teacher, I've worked with youth. And I say it's almost criminal for us to demand that our young people, and I say this all the time, perform at optimal levels when they don't have their most basic necessities met. And we're talking about housing at the most simplest bet. So I care deeply about the young people, our young people, and that's who this project ultimately is for. There's a ton of local economic impact, $17 million in the local economy. That's direct money, ripple effect money. And we did a 3-year sort of outlook. And the one that stands out to me is that public benefit, because that means less incarceration, less homelessness, and better health. We own the land. We're in pre-development right now. We're in the design stages. We can, because we're doing modular, we're about to start the actual construction of the units within the next month and a half. And so we can do that while the site development, while the planning is taking place on the site. We can have a groundbreaking in December, not a groundbreaking, we can have actually a groundbreaking both and a finished product by the end of December. Technically, we can do this as of right. And at the end of the day, right, given that we don't have the high return, we are definitely preserving your capital. This is, again, beyond the economic impact. We believe that your capital is going towards good use. Right. And the LaunchPad is the social impact model. It's a long-term model to build equity, jobs, and affordable housing in one of the most underserved cities in San Bernardino. So with this, you're not just investing in a return. Again, I think you're investing in a legacy, something that we can hopefully build together and replicate in San Bernardino. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Robert. Thanks for being here today. I did post, there were a few questions from people asking about Robert's contact. I did post Robert's email address and website in the chat. So click through to that if you have any questions for Robert. We got quite a few positive comments for you in the chat here, Robert. Let me read a few of them right now. Let's see. Christopher says, great impact work, Robert. Opportunity zones need your business. Thanks for that comment, Christopher. Kirk says, finally, someone speaking to why OZs are intended. The tax benefits are secondary. Thanks for the comment there, Kirk. Greg chimes in saying, great idea, Robert. Let's see. Got a long one from Brad here. I'll get back to that one. Thanks, Brad. Angela says, bravo. Chris says, happy face. But another one from Brad. Brad says, Robert, great presentation. Totally get the lower pref for an affordable deal. And that makes sense. That said, as affordable deals are normally locked in place for 30 years, how will investors be able to exit the investment? So good question there about the exit logistics from Brad. Can you address that one?
Yep, great question. And so unlike a low-income housing tax credit deal, we're not using low-income housing tax credits. Adds cost to the project, adds time, length, all of these things that I've seen in my experience really make affordable housing expensive to build. So we're locking in, the way we're locking in the affordability is we're partnering, we're working on a deal with the county to master lease the residential component in partnership with our service providers for 99 years with gradual increases, of course, but that's where the locked in affordability comes in. And we can do that without doing anything special. And so we can refi, which is one of the exit strategies. We can actually sell. I think one of the benefits for early investors especially is that we can structure. There's a lot of flexibility here. Of course, my main focus is making sure that these units stay affordable for the young people, right? But again, there's different ways. We have some ideas about the ground floor. We have battery storage. It's all solar, right? So we can actually have some economic drivers. We intend to incubate some of the small businesses down below, so that could also contribute to the overall fund. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of momentum, a lot of people here from the city, the state level, even the county level, nonprofits, the community really are behind this project.
Yep. Brad just chimes in, says, Robert, I love the 99-year lease from the county. Great idea, but with minor bumps in rent, one will cap the exit as it will be NOI based at a cap rate. But I get it. I love the ideas. That's from Brad Malatsky, who's been, I think, Brad, you might have won the MVP award today for most engaged attendees. So thanks, Brad, for being here today. Great questions from Brad throughout the course of today's presentation. We got a bunch of other questions coming in. A few more comments. I'll just read these comments here. Matthew says, inspirational. Let's see. Greg says, bravo to LaunchPad. Great project. Congratulations. Let's see if we got any more. Sue says, awesome. Let's get to a few more questions here for you, Robert. I think this was one of the first questions that came in while you were speaking. How would you say San Bernardino County compares to Los Angeles County in terms of demand and supply? Often people think LA when they think about Southern California, but it's a much larger area, right?
Well, great point. And I'll tell you this, the supply and demand issues impacting LA have a direct impact here in San Bernardino. Folks from LA are moving to San Bernardino. They have been, Orange County as well. San Bernardino sort of remains one of the last, I think, affordable housing destinations, even on the commercial side in in Southern California. But that's changing. The median home price here, even though our AMI is under 60,000, is over $500,000. The majority of folks here live above their means. Some of between 50 and 70% of their income goes to rent, right? There's as you see, we need 8,000 units. We've only built about 400. There's a need for about 7,700 units that need to be built in the next 3-4 years. Obviously, there's a lot of room there. That's not really going to happen. I think one of the earlier presentations said they only do like 5,000, the most they've ever done, right? So that's, so there's room. There's room here. We've identified land with equity in place that we can actually replicate this model on. So I see San Bernardino over the next 4 to 5 years. I see the entire landscape changing, led by or with the zoning changes, the land use changes. And we're at the front. We're at the front. We're sitting with planning on a regular basis. No one's done a project like this here in San Bernardino. And so we're at the forefront, and I think we're really going to hopefully change how, again, the landscape here in San Bernardino.
Perfect. Question here from an investor who wants to know, would you consider taking less than $100,000 if an investor just wants to do some impact investing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I'll tell you now, again, I said we tapped into some equity that we have. The land is now worth over $5 million, but we've had to tap in with some early investors who understand the mission, right? And who've basically allowed us to be able to purchase that other piece of land and start the pre-development. And some of those investors have come in under that 100,000. So we can definitely talk about that.
Good. You mentioned briefly a couple of the green aspects. Greg followed up with a question. He wants to know, what are the green aspects included in the project? Can you go through those?
Yeah, first thing is 100% electric, solar, and we're doing battery storage, all water conservation, of course. It's modular construction, so just in the build itself, we are keeping sustainability in mind. So those are the main things. And right, the landscaping as well. We'll have EV stations on the lot, and then we're doing a bike sharing program for the residents above. right? Again, to sort of shrink the barriers to work, school, etc. And with the college district, they're actually offering free tuition, free training programs. Any of their programs are free to the residents here. But back to the energy, that's how we're doing it. And we're aiming for LEED Gold certification there.
Oh, perfect. All right, very good. Let's see. Question here from Nihar, who asks, can you take out financing during construction loan with a master lease?
Yeah, actually, you know, that's what could turn this into a coupon clipper. Really, is if there is such a huge demand. Literally, almost every agency, every nonprofit that works with the unhoused has a need and a demand for housing. And so, with master leases in place, yeah, we can definitely do that. Right, and that changes the whole model. But again, our main goal is to make sure that these remain affordable for a long time. Without the regular low-income house, like 15, 30-year exits, I think now there's 40 and 50 years, but we're blowing past that.
Good. Will the residents in the residential units be paying the housing costs or a portion of it, or will capital raised help to support that?
Great question. And so I'm going to say all of that. Right. One of the goal is for folks to be independent by the time they've sort of lived out their term. And now some people may be longer, some people may be shorter, but we want folks to be ready to own a home in that 2 to 5 years. So with our partners, we're basically providing all of the supportive services that they need. Within the LaunchPad community, I hope we can create co-op opportunities, rent-to-own opportunities, even condo opportunities. So hopefully, you know, the vision is that an unhoused student is at LaunchPad, has their housing, is doing work at one of the incubator spaces downstairs, 3 to 5 years, graduates into one of the co-op or condos at another LaunchPad.
Good. Let's see. Next question is, it seems that your project has a very positive economic and community impact. I would agree with that, obviously. What is your plan to track your project's impact for investors? Meaning, will you be able to provide real-time data that shows the positive impact in the future? What's going to be your ongoing communication method for that?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this, when we were originally masterminding LaunchPad, we just had it as we were going after grants, community impact loans. And so with anything, basically with any grant opportunity, we have to have reporting. And so our model has that sort of built in. We need to know how many jobs are created, how many folks we've kept housed. We're even down to look at the even health impact of them living in. You know, we're actually talking to some folks about putting in air sensors to even detect like the impact of the development, you know, what we would need to do so that folks in real time understand what the air quality is. We understand, do we need to add more greenery? Do we need to add, you know, barriers and things of that nature? So we'll have constant monitoring, if you will. All of our partners are either community-based or nonprofits, and so we're accountable to them. We're accountable, right, not just to investors, right? We're accountable to this ecosystem that we've built.
Good. Really interesting question here from Sue. I've got some thoughts on this, and then Robert, if you have any thoughts, let me hear them. She asks, "Can I use my donor-advised fund in this project?" And I think the way a donor-advised fund works, and forgive me, I'm not a CPA, so I would consult your advisor on this to get the real answer. But a donor advised fund has to basically issue a grant to a nonprofit organization. I think it has to be set up as a 501c3. I don't know that you would be able to qualify it as an investment, and the DAF funds are already taxed after tax dollars. But yeah, what do you say there, Robert?
So we are 501c3, right?
Yep.
LaunchPad Collective is 501c3. CGX is the for-profit. We have received to date $105,000 in grants, like pre-development grants, right? Which we've used towards this development here. I don't know how the structure works or how you can whether or not you can donate. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but we have both arms, and I know we can receive donations. We are actually, part of our model includes us going after grants. We're actually going after grants with the city, and so there's again, there's a lot of moving parts, but we're working with I think all of the right people to make sure that everything is aligned above board and makes everyone whole, I suppose.
Yeah, and Brad, who's an attorney, he just chimed in. Sue, I agree with Jimmy. I'm not a donor advised fund wizard, but typically DAF funds are charitable contributions, so they wouldn't work for OZ purposes as they're not capital gains. But that said, you're not prohibited. You can certainly make a contribution into Robert's organization, Robert's nonprofit. I would think that's a great question, Sue. I don't know that you would necessarily get an investor return or the tax benefits, but you can absolutely make a charitable contribution to Robert's organization. It sounds like I would connect with Robert offline and see if you can figure that out, Sue. But thanks for the question, Sue, and Brad, thanks for chiming in. Yeah, Brad just chimes in, could be used as a charitable contribution, just not OZ eligible. I think that's right, which is fine. Let's see. I think that is it, Robert. I think I've addressed all of the questions that we have. Really appreciate your time today. We've got a lot of comments and questions from the audience about this last one. So, Robert, love that you're in our OZ Insiders group too, and hopefully we see you out at a future dinner and some of our online events going forward. All right.
Thank you for the platform, Jimmy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Robert. Take care.